Welcome to the next move in Conveyancing podcast. I'm your host, Kev Tunnicliffe, and we'll be discussing all things property and legal. Let's get into today's episode. A big welcome to today's podcast. I'm delighted to be joined by Julia Jones and Lucilla Bass from Kingsley Bond.
Hello.
Ladies, how are you both?
Very well, thank you.
Very well, yeah.
Nice to hear you up.
Yeah.
For our listeners, tell us what your job roles are and how long you've worked in the industry for.
Yeah, okay. So I am a Director of Business Development, working with Kingsley Bond solicitors predominantly. Been in the industry for 5 years now. Prior to that, I was selling new build houses, so sort of in and around the industry, but not in it.
Okay, so I am Head of Remortgage Operations, working for Kingsley Bond solicitors. I head up the remortgage department there with a team of 5 of us, dealing with a lot of remortgages each month. I have been in conveyancing for 26 years with a short 15-year break to have a few children.
Excellent.
Five.
Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about the home buying process to start with. And the first question is quite blunt. Is it fit for purpose in 2026?
Short answer, no.
Short answer, no. However, with some refinements, we could get there rather easily, I would say. What I think needs to happen is there needs to be better communication between all parties. I think that it needs to be made very clear on instruction what is needed, what the instruction of the solicitor is, what the client needs done. And then I think we need collaboration with all parties, namely agents, brokers and other solicitors, anybody that is in the transaction. I think we need to all get together, work towards the end goal and team up.
Getting the information correct at the beginning. So we were saying, oftentimes the information is partial or it's not entirely correct. It's very important that we get the right information at the beginning. I'm a bit of a stickler for detail, but I would rather someone just took that little bit of time, told us exactly what we're dealing with so it goes to the right place. I think in terms of is it fit for purpose, there's a lot of faffy admin that could be taken away. And I think we're moving towards that. We can all see that happening. The problem is there's always going to be a human element to conveyancing. And I don't think technology can replace that. It can replace certain bits. It can improve the admin, but it will never replace the human element. So.
The market is definitely not ready for AI conveyancing in its entirety. There are so many systems, onboarding processes, there are integrations, there are a little bit of AI mortgage report producing, things like that, which actually assist a conveyancer to go forward and to be able to do these things and make things more streamlined.
It's moving in the right direction because we've got an onboarding portal, for example, that a client can complete it in 10 minutes. And I remember 5 years ago when I started, that could take a week or two. It was so faffy. People don't have printers nowadays, scanners.
No.
But they used to have to go and find one and send it all back. So the beginning bit of the process of conveyancing has been speeded up exponentially, I think. And technology has greatly assisted with that. I think there's other bits in the process, and namely source of funds. I'm sure we'll get onto that further, but that
Maybe.
to me is a very problematic part of the process that's not fit for purpose in 2026.
Okay. In a previous podcast, the guy mentioned he was moving house and he was using a solicitor where it's still paper based.
Yeah.
And for me, you talk about the faff. To
It's
me,
so
I think it's staggering in today's day and age that there's not a digital journey for a client to at least onboard with.
Yeah.
But also, Lucy, you say that the issues now are probably comms and collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
It's been like that for 20 odd years. So the conveyancing industry it's moving in the right direction, but it's taken way too long.
It's slow and
to do it.
painful, isn't it?
So is it really the role of the conveyancer to get all this information up front? Because source of wealth is a massive pinch point. But is it our job, or should this information be gathered before it hits our desk?
But the information is already gathered before it hits our desk, because when you put in for a mortgage application, that mortgage application, if there's a deposit, a funded deposit, gifted deposit, all that information is already gained. Then the broker will ask for that information again. Quite often, the client then comes to you frustrated already at that point, because they feel like they've already been interrogated with regards to where those funds have come from. And then the conveyancer, due to the obligations that placed upon us from the lenders, we then go in and we ask more and more and more.
So it isn't. So yes, it is, but no, it isn't. It's there, but it's not in its entirety, and it's not sufficient for the conveyancer.
It's not enough.
I think there's a dichotomy, because I think there can be collaboration on the source of funds. So we were talking about this on the way here. One of our very senior solicitors was talking about, is there a possibility of creating a wallet, some sort of wallet whereby source of funds information is shared? That is a great idea. That's all well and good, and I hope that we do get there. The dichotomy is that brokers do not understand that conveyancers have different requirements on source of funds, and this is a constant sticking point, because I think the FCA has got completely, is that right? FCA, I feel like I've said that wrong.
That's right.
FCA's got completely different regulations to the SRA. So the onus is, brokers don't realise how much onus is placed on solicitors. It's as individuals and as a law firm. They're personally liable for fines. They really get the scarers put on them around source of funds, and I think people assume that they're being extra, and they're not. You know, our firm will ask for 6 month statements as standard to stop the back and forth. And I think brokers assume that we are making a meal of it. We're not. We're doing it because we have to. We're regulation bound. So if we could have some sort of a cooperation there and understanding on the broker's part and some information sharing, I think we can improve source of funds greatly.
Absolutely.
What it is,
I think it's been hinted at in previous podcasts that from a broker's perspective, that they should be gathering all of this, or that there might be a movement towards the broker gathering it, and whether that's from the FCA regulatory point of view or not. But if that was something that the lender accepted and the broker gathered it, would that make you guys happier?
Yes and no. Yes, because they could get the statements. So they could get 6 month statements for all accounts, pass that over. That would help. The problem is the conveyancer has to dig into those statements. So they've got to evidence the original source of wealth.
But what if the broker's already done it and the lender's happy with it?
Living the dream. Yes.
I told her she'd have 1 million followers if they could achieve that.
If they can achieve
if the lender
that,
accepted that
but
and
then,
the obligations were put back there, I also think it would have a double whammy, because the clients, when they produce this paperwork, this evidence to the broker, there doesn't seem to be a problem with that, because they're expecting to provide all this evidence to get a mortgage. And I think they take it better from the brokers. The brokers have already got the relationship. There's some underlying trust. I don't know how you get that. I'd love to learn how to find that. But they arrive at the broker's office and don't think twice when they're asked, where did that money come from?
Think that
What's
would help
that deposit?
Hugely. Thinking out loud now about it, that would help them massively, because we do source of funds checks at the beginning. A lot of firms leave them to the end. We do it for efficiency, but it means the transaction is very front loaded. So we don't always put ourselves in the client's shoes as much as we should, because at the beginning of the process, as Lucy said, they've already been asked for a million things. They're a little bit frustrated from the off, and we sense that frustration. We're asking them to onboard. We're asking them for source of funds. So if we could do that, it's whether or not the lender will accept it, or whether they will keep pushing the onus onto the conveyancer, which is how it stands today.
Yeah, I think you probably would need humble changes, and which we know aren't the fastest, but I think maybe a rewrite of the lenders' handbooks.
Yeah, if that ever happened, that would be pretty revolutionary.
You could organise that.
You can.
Well, if you can think back, you think back 5 years, this problem wasn't really there.
No,
it's just another of the
it seems to have ramped up.
At the moment in the industry we go in, so Kingsley Bond do a data sharing, and the heads of department send us out different changes that have happened, different changes in the lender's handbook, different changes in process, different risk profiles, compliance issues every week, and they keep coming. And Compliance Corner used to be monthly. Now Compliance Corner is probably every 48 hours with some change, with some new obligation, with some new risk that we have to mitigate throughout that transaction.
Yeah. True.
Okay, if you describe the 2026 home buying process in one word, what would it be?
Oh, curveball, Kev.
Sketchy. Do you want a word? Do you get one too?
Yeah. Well, how would I describe the conveyancing process in one word? Protracted, for the aforementioned reasons.
You were asked that quite a few times, and it doesn't get a positive answer at any
It's hard
point.
to give a succinct answer to it. Yeah.
And it's I think it's one that would, as an industry, not just conveyancing, that collaboration. You mentioned it before. Everybody mentions it. Why don't we do it if everybody knows that we need to do it? But I think we've now got a little bit of a movement where everybody's starting to think
they want the desire's there, isn't there, to all work together.
And I think it's the first time in 20 odd years. I mean, I've been up 1990. I started as a broker, and it seems it's the first time ever since then that we've got people that
having the conversations about it. Frustrating. There we go. I retract it. That's my word.
Frustrating. That's absolutely been used.
I was conveyancing in 1998, and it was a very, very different world then.
Picture.
Yeah. Where do you think the system still works, and where does it fall short?
Okay. I'll go. Where do I think it works? I think we, particularly at Kingsley Bond, and in general, conveyancers have got a lot of expertise, and I think that's often not appreciated. I think, there's no accounting for the years of experience that our solicitors and conveyancers have got. That can't be replaced by technology. I think we do very well there. We can deal with the weird, the wonderful, the complex. We turn them around, we get them completed. Where it falls short, in my mind, is a lack of respect. So I see this daily, and it does frustrate me. I see a complete and utter lack of respect for conveyancers' role in the industry, what they bring to the table, the nature of the work. Like, people forget it is very intense. It's very focused, detail oriented. They expect them to turn around a title report in 5 minutes. Actually, when they're being interrupted, it can take a few hours, uninterrupted an hour, but it's not an instant thing. I think
Does that make it a lack of respect or more a lack of understanding?
Both, actually. Both. I think there's a tendency to jump to the worst possible conclusion, not give the benefit of the doubt, whereas if they were just afforded a little bit more trust and respect and courtesy, I think it would go a long way. I think they'd see a lot more, positive interactions when they're asking for updates. I just think it can feel as though conveyancers take a bit of a battering sometimes.
Well, they do.
Yeah,
Doesn't
and you're a
like
conveyancer at least. Do you feel that way?
Yeah.
But if playing devil's advocate a little bit, if we rewind, is we said what's probably wrong with it at the minute is the comm side of it.
Yeah.
And I just go around and round and round in circles when we talk about this. Is they're not given enough chance to do the job.
Yeah.
That being the case, more pressure's put on them. They're not communicating. What's it going to do when you communicate? Being in the broker's shoes, you absolutely want your updates.
Yeah.
If the system isn't being updated, you're then going to call.
Yeah.
If you don't get an answer, you get frustrated.
Yeah.
So, and that's where the headbutting starts.
Yeah.
My simple fix, and it is for me, is reduce the caseloads down, increase the fees.
Oh, 100%.
And let the people do the job. Let them deliver the service that everybody wants.
It's a vicious circle, I think. I think that clients and brokers alike do come at you. You can be very, very good at communication. Like, I like to think that I am, yet I still get it daily. I get, why hasn't that been done? The client says that you haven't done this, you haven't done that. I'm like, okay, let me tell you the exact position. This is what I'm waiting for. This is what I'm going to do. By the way, you've had an update, and I cannot, and I don't have anything to tell you every 6 hours. No, I cannot phone you every single day. However, I can use my portal where I update my notes. And if you read your portal, you will always be kept up to date at all times.
There's a lot of misunderstanding. This is what I mean. I think what I would like to see happen is people not jump to the worst possible conclusion. There's a lot of kind of Chinese whispers that go on because clients don't understand the process, and I think you're probably move on to talking about that, but they don't. So they'll often misunderstand things. And then they'll go to the broker. That's the natural thing to do. And then the broker will jump to the worst conclusion. That's the bit I want to take away. If they could give them...
They take whatever the client says as gospel.
Yes, they take exactly that, Kev. Yeah, they take it as gospel. And, you know, all that needs to happen is the conveyancer rings the client. It's cleared up within 5 minutes. Everyone's happy. But I wish that they would just afford that respect and that trust and just say, look, clients come to me having a bit of a grumble. I think they're a bit confused. Can you give them a little ring? And that I'm telling you, that would really solve it. But instead, it's this very accusatory emails that I see, and it just, then you get this back and forth. And
but is that perception that the industry's earned for itself over the 20 odd years and longer, where communication is expected more?
I think it's because the caseloads have been too high, and you know, it's what you just said. It's lower the caseloads, cap the file numbers, you know, better fees. Pay the conveyancers a bit better. It's kind of basic logic, business.
So you jump in. The next question is, less is more. The cost of quality and fees.
Yes.
Do you think customers understand what they're actually paying for in conveyancing as a starting point?
No, I don't think they do.
Absolutely not. No. You can be as transparent as you want to be on your estimate. You can go through every single disbursement, explaining it, every single possible supplement that might come up. Yet every client is still shocked when they get that warning letter that this has come up, you've got a rent charge on your property, and here's your supplemental fee for that. And it doesn't matter how much preparation you do, how much talking, how much preparing the broker, how many emails explaining it with all sorts of detail in there, they don't expect to pay this money. I've had questions from clients saying to me, are you joking? That cannot be just for a simple remortgage.
They don't understand the work that goes in. I think they only understand it when it goes wrong. Suddenly it's like, oh, okay, yeah, they've protected me there, or they failed to protect me there. We can't expect clients to understand it completely. Like, they are not trained conveyancers, but it's on the conveyancer then, isn't it, to make sure they've got the message across. We're doing this for X, Y, and Z reason. It is to protect your interests.
So where does that start?
Intro
because for me is being a broker back in them day, you had different lenders quoting in different methods, and all of a sudden they all had to use the same method to quote. So as an advisor, it became much easier to talk to your clients and compare one lender to another because you all followed exactly the same format. I think, and it's something that I'm certainly going to be working on over the next 12 months, is the way that conveyancing is quoted for. I think it's completely, it's just broke. Terminology. There's different. You've got one supplier using terminology for one item. They'll have 5 different titles for it. And I think the fundamental part of the quote is that nobody understands this is for a vanilla, straightforward case. And if everybody sold it on the basis, right, here's your quote. This is the amount it will be if there's no other additional work to do. Until that title has been checked, until they've had the contracts through, we don't know if there's any additional work, and therefore, the solicitor will have to let you know at the start. They'll have to let you know as soon as possible. You can put it in, so we can do it. Any sort of additional fee, for leasehold, for shared ownership, TVs on the remortgage. You can put all those in. But it's still, you don't know until you've checked the title whether there's a rent charge or not.
We see far less complaints now than when I started out 5 years ago about fees, and I think the reason is that in the past people used to rely upon reports for the fees. Just they would send a letter, costs letter, and just attach it to an email. Now we know any fee is contentious. It needs to be explained to the client. So I think conveyancers have got a lot better about picking up the phone and explaining it in layman's terms. This is why it's needed, certainly putting it in the body of the email, softening it, humanising it, explaining it. So I personally, and maybe it's because our fees are higher and we're transparent with them, but I don't see a lot of complaints about fees.
No, I see very little. I think they like to know as soon as that comes up. The worst thing you can do is go through a whole transaction, do the extra work quietly, and then pop a bill for another £1,000 on the top. Whereas I find it quite helpful to, throughout the process, as these things come up, this has come up, This is why. Don't worry, we're not asking you for this now, but it will be included on your completion statement. You gain their consent.
You don't want no surprises at the end.
Yeah,
exactly.
Exactly that.
But I think transparency on the quoting is absolutely it's needed.
Yeah.
Because you can't compare.
Yes.
You're forever comparing apples with oranges, with plums, with pears, and it's...
But then it's the Wild West, because you've got other firms, other portals, other situations, places that clients can go to get fees that look very cheap.
Artificial.
And then it's buried, isn't it, in the small print on the website. We've seen it.
Yeah.
We do get a lot of that, don't we?
Yeah,
we get a lot of,
way.
okay, so your quote's that, but I can get a remortgage for £100. I feel like saying, well, I will pay for your remortgage if that's what your bill comes in at. If not, please pay mine.
Exactly.
I've won quite a lot of business as a broker.
Yeah.
When you come up with a comparison like that, and you could say, read all the small print, and then...
Yeah, because if it sounds too good to be true, it is. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, transparent quoting is key.
Yeah.
I also think
but
that...
it's so difficult. It's not like comparing a mortgage with a mortgage. It's just so difficult with conveyancing. But
there are genuinely cheaper estimates and firms out there, and that's fine if they're willing to accept, look, this is going to take longer, you're going to have someone more junior that needs it signed off at every stage, they might not be able to deal with it if it's particularly complex. Like, there's always a trade-off. You can't have your cake and eat it. It just doesn't work like that.
I also think that there should be some broker collaboration on the supplements, because they do sell it to them as, here's your fixed price legals, and that's the end of the story for the broker when they're presenting that to a client, okay? Whereas if that broker knows of the two occupiers and they know that they're dealing with a remortgage of a new build property, it's actually quite foreseeable for them. So that would support us, rather than leaving it open and their bill should be £300. If that was a pre-warning and a support from the broker, that would help as well.
Again, this is where the education, collaboration, and each party understanding what the brings really starts to come into it. And I think we are moving towards that. We don't hear many stories. We not. I know there are people out there that are just fixated on price. But I think the world in this space is starting to move.
I think it
quality
is. And sort refer helps, because you've got people in the middle. So it's like a bridge, isn't it? That ordinarily you wouldn't have that layer. Obviously, you'd speak to the broker directly, but I think the BDMs and the sort refer team do a really good job of that, of enhancing communication between all parties.
Right. Yeah. What does quality really mean in this industry, and how do you explain that to clients?
Quality means communication. That's the biggest thing that I will ever tell you about that. A 5-minute phone call means more than 1,000 emails. A conversation with a client so that they can hear that they're talking to a human conveyancer who understands how anxiety producing it is, how stressed they can be, means everything.
Empathy, we were talking about, Luce, where we were saying this is the human element of it, and if you've got the time to make those calls, you get different kinds of client profiles, don't you? Get first time buyer, very different to a portfolio landlord. They're going to have different needs during that process, different frequency of communication needs. I think calling the client at the outset and sussing that out, you need time to be able to do that. Someone who's completely overloaded and drowning in cases is just not going to make that call. They're just not. Whereas if you've got less cases and you've got the time to do it, the whole transaction is going to flow 10 times better if you've had that conversation at the beginning.
Love it. I mean, I've been shouting less is more for the 2.5 years
you're
now. So,
very good at banging the drum, Kev.
So, I mean, that again, how do we balance competitive pricing with delivering premium service? It's that.
It's basic logic, isn't it?
I mean, something that was mentioned on a previous is in terms of what a client really wants and what quality means to them, isn't really necessarily just about the price and the communication. It's certainty. It's the certainty of knowing that that is going to happen. And the problem we see as an industry, if it's going to take 20 to 24 weeks to complete a case, you have no certainty. No. Anything can go wrong all the way through. And I think people are willing to pay. So again, if you do that less is more, you communicate better, you set the expectation that we're going to do our best to get this ready a lot faster, then they're open to that because it gives them the certainty
I think people
for.
can sense integrity in people, and I think if they have that honest conversation with their solicitor, their conveyancer at the beginning, they're not, we would never commit to something. You get a lot of people that will promise something they can't deliver. We would rather under promise and over deliver, and I do think that's the best way. But have an open, honest conversation, manage their expectations properly at the beginning, and that's to do with response times, frequency of updates, all levels of communication. A lot of clients think that the conveyancer is going to be instantly available when they call them. It's something I see time and time again, and it does my head in because I'm like,
well, it's a modern age, isn't it? Is instant messaging.
Instant messaging, and they could be doing 1,000,001 things. They could be on another call, in a meeting, pop to the loo, trying to get a bit of lunch done. There could be a million reasons they can't answer the phone, but people ring and ring and ring. I think manage the expectations at the beginning. Say, look, I'm happy to speak to you at any point throughout this transaction, but just pop me an email. Let's get a time that's mutually convenient. I think that beginning managing of expectations is so important. Can't remember the question.
I don't disagree, but because managing expectation is just another form of communication.
Yeah,
is as long as all parties know what's going to be delivered. Yes, and it may be that it's a slightly cheaper quote, but do it in the knowledge that you're going to get an update once a week. Yeah, this client isn't paying for an update on a daily basis. They'd be paying 3-4 times as much as that if that's what you want. Yeah. So if you've got a needy client, don't push him down this route, because the broker knows, an agent knows whether that client's needy. Yeah. One of our biggest problem clients, if he kept a list, it'd be my brother. He's just got,
never mix business and family. That's tricky.
On a sale of his, you ask him for something. Yeah. He does it straight away, and he then expects you to do it straight back. Yeah. And it's so if you just tell him, we haven't got as much time as you have. It's going to take a few days. As long as you let him know at the start.
It's quite eye-opening when you do the conveyancing for friends or family, isn't it?
Yeah. I do dread them coming over. Luce, can you take this one? This is only the most important solicitor we've got. They just need a little old Remo. I'm like, yeah, no worries. Nightmare client incoming.
Bit of a topical one. At Kingsley Bond, you don't offer no completion, no fee guarantee.
Indeed.
What was the reason behind it, and how did the clients receive that?
Yeah, so this is something I felt really, really strongly about. We take on the more complex cases. We do BSAs, new build, also Sharia finance. So we really do take a mixture of everything. And because we cap the file numbers, 3 or 4 abortives can be disastrous for us from a commercial standpoint. We cap them at like 15 files, 25 max for our most experienced solicitors with assistants. So,
but the real complex stuff.
Yeah, well, they do a mixture of everything. Yeah. All of our conveyancers, can turn their hands to most things. There's certain streams of work that are authorised, but it just was not commercially viable, Kev. And the thing is, they would go abortive at the 11th hour for the most ridiculous reasons. Often it was surveys and it was finances, and you've got to feel for the client in those circumstances. It's outside of their control. But we also saw a lot of changes of mind. They just saw a better property. And after the solicitor's been working on that for 3 months, it's quite heartbreaking.
Do you take the fee up front therefore, or
we take money? No, money's on account, and then we just send an abortive bill. I could count on one hand the number of problems that's caused us in the last 4 or 5 years.
And if the client came back to you after, does it start again, or do you offset any of it?
Yeah, so there's definitely discretion. So it's prorated, so it's reflective of the amount of work that's been undertaken. It's very fair. Another thing is we do exercise discretion. Like our conveyancers, if somebody's died or something's happened, someone's got ill, obviously they're going to exercise discretion there. If they come back for another case, yes, there's things that we can do. It's commercially
we have a second suit promise and stuff like that anyway.
Exactly, we do.
Reason to ask on that one is there's a bit of there's going to be a bit of a movement towards it. We know that there's other firms on panel that want to start. Yeah. And from our perspective as a panel manager, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
I don't agree you should do all this work and then just because somebody changes their mind.
Nobody else.
And like you say, as long as you've got that discretion to a case by case basis, I don't see there's any problem with it. But getting that, it's been pitched as a USP.
Yeah. You'd be surprised how many clients don't know about it.
But as panel managers, if a load of panel managers went, right, we're stopping this now, and therefore you're allowed to go charging abortive fees, you can guarantee there'll be another one that comes along and says, we're the only panel manager that doesn't.
But then do you, I think you need to stand your ground. This is where it's about being bold and brave.
But is it a panel manager's role to be bold or brave, or is it the conveyancer's job to be bold or brave? So I think we'll see discussions of this start to take shape.
Well, you already were. We don't do no completion, no fee. So you've started it.
Yeah, because seeing such a high cancellation rate,
and it is a high cancellation rate,
and but at that everybody feels the pain. Yeah. So this project 28 that part of it involves lenders. If a case aborts 3-4 months down the line, it's painful for a lender.
Yeah.
It's painful for the agent who's everybody's involved. It hurts.
I think a lot of clients don't feel right with it. And I'll give you an example. I was going to buy a house a few years ago. I've got a lovely mortgage broker. It was quite a complex mortgage, and he did loads for it. I didn't end up going for the house for one reason or another. I didn't feel right not paying him a fee. I knew how much work he'd put into it. I was trying to pay the man his fee and he wouldn't take it. Yeah. And I was like, please let me do it. I ended up getting him a big Fortnum and Mason hamper or something. It didn't sit right with me that he's done all of that work and he's not getting paid.
Yeah.
So,
and that's probably part of the argument is why it's going to be difficult, because a broker gets paid on completion.
Yes.
Unless they're charging an upfront fee.
Do a percentage. I think it's fair to do a percentage of referral fees, and then the broker's getting something as well.
If everybody charges a percentage as an abortive fee, then surely that just becomes the industry norm, does it not?
Yeah.
It's certainly something to build into conversations that will take place. Okay, building trust and alignment across the industry. Why is it important? My phone's ringing in. Just sorry. Why is it important that brokers, estate agents, conveyancers can work together to the same goal?
It has to be that way for a smoother, easier, more pleasurable transaction for everybody involved. Yeah. We cannot keep up this fight. It's an utter fight from the start to the end. Everybody accepts that a surveyor is going to take 2 weeks. They'll give you a date, and it's 2 weeks' time that survey's been done. Nothing happens at all. That's fine. Everybody accepts that a lender has a backlog and their mortgage offer is going to be 3 weeks because unfortunately they're very busy at the moment. And then it lands on a conveyancer's desk and completion had to be yesterday, and why wasn't it, and what have you done, and why are all these delays? It is just an absolute nonsense that everything is a conveyancer's fault.
It does feel that way sometimes. I think it's this, it goes back to respect, doesn't it? It's a mutual respect. Respect's a two-way street, three-way street in this case.
Well, again, I've said for too long, everybody just they just put heads across it. So the next question is, what's the biggest point of friction between conveyancers, agents and brokers? I think you can add into the mix that conveyancers butt heads with conveyancers, and there's an awful lot that can be done to improve the process.
The relationships are so fickle, fractious, and I don't know where it's come from, but it's definitely on the increase. There's a massive blame game out there. Always somebody has to be to blame. I'm personally not one for that. Things happen, shit happens, things go wrong, okay? What you need to do is work together, because what we're actually trying to do is get to completion. So, Mr. Broker or Mr. Agent, don't abuse the conveyancer. If a mistake's been made, it's been made. You hold your hands up and you say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to solve it. Help me, please.
I said you catch more flies with honey than vinegar.
Yeah,
it's true. I think people forget, if I want something in any context in life, I don't go in like a bull in a china shop generally, unless it's needed. I will be polite and courteous, even if it's something really important. You know, I will go in and that will be my default approach, and I would usually then get the result that I want. But there is this bull in a china shop approach, and it doesn't get the result that people want. It gets people's backs up.
But there is, but is that also is that the communication bit again from the other side? I mean, I remember advising that, you know, a particular lender had the best rate.
Yeah.
They were that busy. If you tried to get an update as a broker, you was on the phone for an hour. If it went past the hour, you got cut off, so you had to ring them back.
Oh God, yeah.
And when they finally answered, there was no apology or really sorry how long, because invariably you can see how long they've been waiting.
Yeah.
There's just nothing on that side, and that instantly puts you back up.
Yeah, that would anybody, wouldn't it? Yeah.
And you know, and that's probably been a little bit the case with conveyancing. Is, you know, you've been that busy that sometimes either a call doesn't get answered or it takes ages to get answered.
Yeah.
And I'm really sorry. I can see you've been on hold for a while. I do apologise. I can help you.
But this is where managing the expectations is so important at the beginning. Like if you ring a client and you say to them, look, I can't guarantee my availability on the phone if you ring. So if you do ring, leave me a voicemail. By all means, pop me an email as well, and let's arrange a time that's mutually convenient. But don't send like 7 emails in a day, because that is what we see. Let them know your opening days and times, because that's another thing. They seem to think that they work 24/7. They actually do.
They've got home at 7 p.m. And why haven't you answered that by 7:10?
Exactly. I think if you set the tone, then they know what to expect.
So this again, it boils down to the expectation, the education, the communication. And I think it is just a recurring theme all the time. I think that's probably where we do let ourselves as a conveyancing industry down the most. Is, you know, we're led by, because it's introduced by a broker or an agent.
Yeah,
we tend to be a little bit led by them, and here's and you get it thrown at you. This is a really important client of mine, and you're letting them down. Therefore,
every
you're letting me
client's
down.
an important client. I mean, they are actually, but
we
hear that with every case.
But if there comes, and you said it, Lucy, it's as long as the expectation is set and people understand, as long as if it goes wrong, you're communicating to all parties. Because I think that gets brokers' backs up the wrong way when they say, I can't talk to you because you're not my client.
Don't promise what you can't deliver. I think I spread the word with the fee earners that we work with daily. Up to 48 hours is a reasonable response time. 24 is the ideal, of course it is, and we do aim for that, but up to 48 hours. But make sure everybody understands that. I wouldn't think twice if I didn't get a response from a broker for 2 days. But for some reason, if a conveyancer takes 2 days, it's panic.
Yeah.
You know,
we need an escalation button, please, for brokers. Would that be possible? Please.
I think you find there is one.
No, as in us, we can do it to the brokers, is what I mean. Do you know, the funny thing, the last thing on this that I have to say, when I returned 4 years ago and came back, I did what I'd always done 20 years ago. And if I had something that I needed to talk to somebody about, I picked up that telephone and I rang the broker. The first 2 phone calls that I made to those brokers, they went, sorry, it's who? I said, Lucy Labasse from Kingsley Bond Solicitors. They're like, you're the solicitor? You're phoning? Yes, that's right. I need to speak to somebody. And they were absolutely shocked that a solicitor had picked up the phone.
That's some of the initial feedback we've had on the enhanced cases that we've started pushing through is, I can't believe this. This is nothing it's nothing like what I expected. They're actually ringing me up and but it just demonstrates that if you give them the chance to do it, nobody goes to work. Nobody goes to work to do a bad job. Of course they don't. But if they care and you give them time, we solve a big problem.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the number one misconception that clients have surrounding the conveyancing process?
I think they think we make the rules up. I think they think that everything is
in our control.
In our control. I've even gone as far as to have clients say to me, well, tell the lender I don't want to. I'm like, okay, so you're asking the lender to lend you this money. Their requirements for that or this and that. Well, I don't want to. Tell them no. Yeah. And we don't have the control. We're sticking in our lane.
Bypass. They think if the client's happy with it, because they're like, it's fine, I don't care if it's got this wrong with the title or that, I just want it to complete. They think we can therefore bypass the legal process. That would be negligence on that solicitor's part. So if that means even that the client ends up disinstructing them, They cannot skip bits of the process.
And therefore, where should education start? Should it start with the conveyancer, or should it be earlier with the agent, or even earlier, maybe with the broker?
I think the estate agent definitely needs to take a bit more responsibility in the process. Estate agents are bashed. They're given a really bad reputation, sometimes rightly, sometimes wrongly. I think if it could start with the agent, they're the first point of contact, aren't they? Often the estate agent, depending on how organised the client is.
If it's a first-time buyer, no, more likely to be the broker. So
yes, they would have got qualified. Yeah,
I think we all, personally, I think we've all got a part to play. But as long as we're singing off the same hymn sheet from the very start, and that gets fed through.
Yeah,
I think that's probably where a lot of the problems come, is that actually there's false promises or not quite the full understanding. May not be intentional, but not a full understanding of.
I think there's a lot of misunderstanding, and agents and brokers, they don't realise the conveyancer wants to complete it. They don't get paid until that case completes. I think there's a lot of assumptions that they're slowing it down. They're sat there twiddling their thumbs. They're really not. But more honest actually on the conveyancers to educate them. It's having the time to do that. When do you have time? So you're giving the information to the client, but then you've got to go off and double key and tell the broker and the agent and everybody. It's quite a vicious cycle there.
Everybody needs to take responsibility. I think you need to collate ideas from all the parties of what their particular frustrations might be. Then I think that somebody needs to actually listen.
This is a little bit, so Project 28 did that. It got lenders, data suppliers, conveyancers, mortgage brokers, estate agency bodies all together, and so they all thrashed it out in one go. Then individually, and then paired up, so that you got full on in depth.
Right.
So that's hopefully what. You then, when everybody's talking frankly and honestly about what their problems are, you start to build a really good picture. But the picture for me it was simple at the start. Is what do you expect? That was my first answer at the end of the very first meeting. It's like, guys, look at what you earn. Look as an agent. Look what you earn as a broker. Look what the conveyancer earns. Strip out the referral fee. What the net fee is, and then tell me what you expect.
It's remarkable that they are so conscientious, because I've got an awful lot of respect for conveyancers. I don't think people realise quite how hard they do work. I've never met a conveyancer that wasn't conscientious. When you look at the fees, it's amazing that they put so much into it.
You have to be, and quite perverted to get by.
Right. So probably an impossible question, but if you could give every buyer a 30-second conveyancing crash course, what would you include? Probably only got a chance for one of you to answer this, because we're all getting a bit tight on time.
It's gone. I've been talking.
No, go on. That's transactional. You can do it. 30 seconds. What do you need them to know? 30 seconds
crash course. I would tell them what our opening days and times are, normal response times, best means of communication. I would definitely talk to them about source of funds, what's required, why we do it, don't do it for fun, necessary evil, what we need for it. The process, quick overview of the process, what to expect when, and just remind them that you're acting in their best interests.
That'd be about 30
expectations.
Minutes, 30 seconds.
So again, that is that sets the expectations.
Yes, absolutely,
Okay, something we spoke about quite a bit on the Levelling Up meets that we had is probably burnout, and question therefore, why does conveyancing see such high levels of pressure and burnout? The obvious answer is too many cases, not enough time to do the job, constant stress, constant harassment, and just put that into reverse. Do you agree with? I'm not putting answers into your head, but do you agree that put it in reverse and do all the opposites, and we solve a big part of the problem?
Yes and no. We've already done that though, haven't we? We've capped the file numbers, but I still see conveyancers getting very demoralised, and it goes back to everything that we've discussed before. It's the respect. It's not appreciating the expertise, the qualifications, the years of training that they've gone through to get their certificate, their practicing certificate, how much they guard that and protect it, and I think they're just spoken to like crap a lot of the time. And so
it's demoralising.
Are you being punished for others' failings though? Is that the problem?
I think
if you raise the bar across the industry, does that change the perception and therefore help with the expectation setting that
That
people
helps.
then expect.
Yeah.
That helps, doesn't
Yeah.
it? Because all of a sudden, if there's an understanding, and B, there aren't silly delays, as I would call them, for, I don't know, any mortgage delays or a mortgage offer's gone to a wrong office. I think if you took that away, there's far less there. I think it's just all too much. Whether there's a delay, that's the solicitor's fault.
Would you say, therefore, it's a workload display or a delay, or an emotional load that's the problem?
I think actually the other thing I wanted to say, because I see this daily, it is a very emotionally loaded process. I see them being expected to act as social workers. Like I saw a really good, one of our best solicitors get blamed for a bottom of the chain divorcing recently, directly being blamed for that. It was a transaction that turned out to be a BSA. And it was instructed as
and it was taking too long and it was too stressful, so he's gone.
BSA is a good example because there's so many factors that are outside of that solicitor's control. It doesn't matter how much they chase or what they do, it is outside of their control, and they still get the blame for it. So yeah, there's definitely frustration that I think leads to burnout.
But again, sounding like a broken record, does changing the culture, is it achieved far better by charging more, paying more to the staff, reducing caseloads down, and just
definitely
go that way rather than that way?
Yes, because they're only as fast as the weakest link in a chain. We were talking about this yesterday, weren't we? And often, there are chains. So you could get the best solicitor in the world, they're ready, they've been ready for weeks, but they're waiting on the rest of the chain. They still get the blame for it though. So
if you could redesign the role of a conveyancer to support wellbeing, what would you change first?
You take that one, Lou.
Yeah, thanks for that. It would have to be respectful communication. It would have to be, because that is the most hurtful thing. Because every day I get up, I go to work and I try to help people, not in a way that nurses do, or not in a way, but in a really important way to them, because there's a big financial impact in everybody's lives, and that is what I would say. I would speak to me like I'm a human. Speak to me nicely, please.
I see when there's a nice, respectful person is that they will get instant responses. That people will go out of their way more when there's basic common courtesy exercise. So I think that would improve their mental health a lot. I think they get used as punching bags a lot. Yeah.
I've got a few quick fire questions and we'll wrap up with. One thing you wish every client knew about conveyancing?
It's not easy.
Most outdated part of the process?
Source of funds.
Outdated or difficult?
Both.
Okay. Tech innovation you're most excited about?
The integration system, the AI manual mortgage reports, and the whole system that Kingsley Bond are building to do a remortgage from start to finish.
So you do see that AI plays its part, yeah. One thing you change in the industry tomorrow?
I feel like a broken record. Source funds and respect. Bring the respect back.
Yes.
In one word, the future of conveyancing?
Collaboration.
Okay. Thank you very much.
That was excellent.
I think, as a summary for this one, I think the frustrations have been clear for everybody. Is that there's a lack of respect, or maybe a lack of understanding more than a lack of respect.
Yeah.
That I think if communication was improved, we'd probably solve 75% of the problem. You're always going to have you're difficult clients. You're always going to have those.
Yeah.
But whilst there's so many of them, because we're allowing that to happen, the perception of the industry is that it's broken. Yeah. Personally, I don't think it is broken, and I've said this for a while. I even put it in a press article a couple of years ago. It's more that we need to improve the culture within all of the businesses, and to do that, there's certain things we need to do that we're all on the same page about.
100%. Imagine if everyone was singing from the same hymn sheet for those clients, what a smooth journey it would be for them. They're getting the same message, same support.
But the beauty of it is if as a conveyancing part of the sector, in the property sector. If we did it, if we achieved it, and if everybody strove for that, everybody wins. The broker wins, the conveyancer wins, our staff win.
Yeah,
You've got much happier. The culture's better. You complete cases faster. So lenders are happy. Estate agents are happy. There's no loser in it.
No.
Yeah.
Everybody gains to win.
Yeah.
And that's, for me, that's my drive.
Yeah.
And until retirement is,
Where's the good goal, Kev?
we've
Keep
got to do it.
Yeah.
But you can only do it by collaboration and utilising the AI that's out there. So
yeah, 100%.
brilliant. Thank you very much for today. And thanks for your time. Thanks for coming up.
Thank you for
Thank you.
having us. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you have any questions or feedback, feel free to let us know in the comments below. See you again soon.